lot of things been on my mind lately. A lot of things I've been ruminating and contemplating. A lot of things have been stolen and taken by Satan. A lot of things I don't know about, I'm just trying to make it, but he can't phase me. Forget the 10, my Lord God made me. I ain't talking Mike Gill, word to the underground, yeah, we making noise. And if you didn't know about us, yeah, we them boys, we be spitting smoke.
All right, and welcome to the Heavy Revy Show. I'm your host, Josue Ibarra, and I got Clay Caldwell here with me. So what's up, Clay?
What's up, friends?
All right, and we are on this other segment on Thursday, Book Thoughts. Super excited for you guys to check this out. This is now the third book reviewed, and this is one of mine. I've been let Clay choose most of them, but this is probably one of my favorites. Clay, you actually introduced me to the author with the Ideal Team Player, which I did a book review solo back on episode 19. So if you want to check that out, we might just do it again too, just get your feedback on there as well. But powerful author, powerful book, especially if you're wanting to grow more in your team and if you feel like maybe your team isn't functioning the best. It's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Which I love that name, don't be intimidated. It's like, all right, boss, I'm buying this book. I'm not saying, it's like you're fired. No, but powerful book, man. I've just really enjoyed the read. It's kind of built the same way as the Ideal Team Player. It's awesome. Super great. Also, Clay?
All of his books, with Patrick Lencioni as the author, and I'm just a huge fan of Pat. He does a lot of counseling, if you will, for big businesses, and just goes in, does like an analysis, and then is like, here's where your problems are.
Right.
And over his years of doing this with these big companies, he's written these books, and I'm just a huge fan of his. He uses a narrative, so it's a fable, I think. What does he call it? The leadership fable.
Leadership fable.
And really just kind of walks you through a story, like a day in the life of a fictitious company, and spells out different areas where the team is failing and then how to improve them. And then at the end of the book, he really takes you through the process of how you can implement today actionable items.
And I love it too because even the story, the fable in itself, just keeps you like, oh man, I want to keep reading. What's happening?
What's happening next?
What's her? I think her name was JJ or something like that. Yeah. Man, she was a total jerk. I mean, it was crazy. But it's funny. Like if you have a jerk on your team, this book will tell you how to deal with that jerk, and it'll just be sweet. All right. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's break this down of our review on the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Clay, give us a breakdown, man. What are the 5 dysfunctions? Let's go just straight to the meat.
Absence of trust is the first thing that you can find that is a dysfunction on the team. And I might be paralleling some other books that he's written.
Oh, sure.
I got The Ideal Team Player. This is an awesome book. Again, each one of these. This is The Advantage, another fantastic book. The book that I'm thinking of when it comes to this absence of trust, he's got another book called Silos, Turf Wars, and Politics. I might have that mixed up, but those are the 3 things that he hits. But this absence of trust where you can't move in between departments or even in your team because if you say something, you're going to get in trouble or somebody's going to steal your material or whatever. There's just a lot of dysfunction. But this absence of trust is something that has to be cured. Yeah. And it's in vulnerability.
Yeah, it's true. I think Dean Radke is another leader that we follow. He talks about creating a safe harbor where you can just, you're comfortable saying anything. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a team meeting where it's like, I've been seeing this issue and it's sticking out like a sore thumb.
And nobody will talk about it.
Right, and everyone's like, we're just going to act like that's not there. No one is addressing the elephant in the room, so it's like, we'll just leave it alone. But yeah, powerful truth. We'll unpack it some more, but let's just keep going.
Number 2 is fear of conflict and just avoiding it. When you know you need to go toe-to-toe with somebody in a meeting or a person, however that looks, it's like you're just wrong.
Yeah.
Or whatever the situation might be. Fear of conflict. Number 3 is lack of commitment. And so there's an ambiguity there. Avoidance of accountability. You have low standards. Not you. Inattention to results. And that is status and ego. And that's how he kind of makes that parallel in the book.
Yeah. It's a powerful breakdown of just these things. And here's one thing I'll say too. It may sound simple. Like it may sound like, that's too simple to, that's going to make any effect on my team. But man, I've been sharing this with some pastors, okay, on just about this concept, and man, how they've noticed how, oh man, yeah, you know, we probably don't really trust each other because we're not able to conflict with one another. And that's what it really gets at. Like, if you don't have trust, you're not going to have that healthy conflict. And because if you don't have that healthy conflict, you're not going to have, you know, what's that third piece? It's blah, blah, blah. Mental block. But you're not going to have, I believe it's not peer-to-peer accountability, but you're not going to have buy-in, really. You're not going to have the buy-in to really, you know, help out with the project or help out with whatever direction you're going. And because you have no buy-in or no one's completely sold,
Lack of commitment.
No one's going to hold you accountable. You know what I mean? With that lack of commitment, and then there's going to be absence of accountability. And then, you know, you're not going to have the results that you guys are actually looking for. What, Clay, for you, man, what is like probably one thing that really stood out for you that was really big in this book, in this read?
Transparency. And just the need for that when you're on a team. And if you're afraid to be transparent, there's so many books. There's The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey, where he talks about that. Like, when you have trust on your team, you have so much more creativity. There's so much more, you said buy-in, but there's just a way for your team to move faster through things, because it's like if there's an elephant in the room that you don't want to talk about or is taboo or something like that, you can't even move to the next level because this thing needs to be dealt with. Right. And so, being able to be transparent, having the ability to contribute to any team meeting and not be shut down. You might be told no. I mean, that's fair. Right. Yeah, that's a good idea, or that's not a good idea. Maybe that's a not right now idea, but to just even be able to share, that might be the thing that kind of is the key to unlock the next level of whatever you're trying to do with your team.
Yeah, it's so true. I know for me, one of the biggest truths that I've gotten out of that was conflict. Which conflict, we can look at it as like, oh, that's a bad word, or, you know, even in our circles as Christians, we shouldn't have conflict, which is totally bunk. Conflict is healthy, dude. Yeah. You know, and I remind people of this. I tell this in our church meeting that, you know, that the scripture that says iron sharpens iron, people forget, you know, you think of iron sharpening iron, it's like, okay, you know, that's nice. But no, it's blazed and they're striking against one another. Yeah. It's a strike, you know what I mean? It's the opposition, the spark, and not saying to be malicious or mean or nasty, but it's to really speak your what you're actually thinking. Don't hold back. You know what I mean? And so it's like, a lot of times we hold back because, so-and-so is going to be ticked that I'm saying this, or, so-and-so might take this wrong. No, and communicate it out. I mean, crucial conversations, which is definitely another one we got to throw in there. Yeah. But it's powerful, and that one has helped me too with the conflict side of just being okay to be opposed against someone and letting them know I'm not going against you. And that's a lot of things too. Why again, it's with the trust. Personal. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have that trust, you know, I have my best friend Dylan. He's in Texas now. But man, at work, we were able to call each other out on the most ridiculous stuff and be more blunt than I would be with anybody. But it's because we had that trust. Like, I know he was for me, and he can say something that, you know, someone else said to me, I probably would have been really ticked, or, you know, I kind of was already ticked too.
Here's a quote from the book talking about politics. Politics is when people choose their words and actions based on how they want others to react, rather than based on what they really think.
Boom.
Yeah.
Dang. I thought of two faces. I'm just kidding. But partially. But man, that's a deep thing, man. And so it's just building that trust so where you can just share what you say. You know what I mean? And if you don't have that trust, I mean, it's gonna stink. Yeah. But you know, the book really dives into, like, what's cool about it. About this Patrick Lencioni's kind of books is they'll even give you advice on how to overcome certain of those things. If there's no trust in your team, you know, and you may feel, a lot of times we overestimate ourselves, feeling like, I feel like there's a lot of trust in our team, but you really, you know, test yourself on the quiz that it has for you. You'll see, like, oh man, there's not that much, or we can grow more in our trust.
Yeah. But I don't know, just like personally, I feel like sometimes I'm indifferent to a lot of things that are happening in a meeting. Yeah. Like, I'm not passionate. It's like, depending on how your team is made up, you might be on a smaller team or a bigger team. Bigger teams tend to have a lot more issues that come up and more projects on the table where it's like I feel like I'll input if I can help. But other things that I feel passionate about, I really want to personally have an agenda of why I'm so passionate about it. So it's like I've backed up my story. I've got a case. Yeah. This is why I think this is the best idea ever.
Right.
And go I go to meetings prepared.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in the proactive sense of being an effective team member.
Right. No, it's so true. I know the first time me being in one of these bigger meetings, I was a training supervisor in charge of training customer service side of things. And I remember the first time I went to a meeting not prepared, and boy, did I hear from it. And I learned not to ever do that again. Yeah. But no, it's very true. So we went from trust. What is one thing in here, Clay, that, that you have seen as a challenge maybe for you to implement, or that you've seen a challenge to it be implemented?
Sometimes conflict is hard.
Okay.
And it depends on, like, again, how I was saying, some things I'm indifferent on, other things I'm very passionate about. And then, I don't know, I like to see things in 360. So if somebody else is passionate about maybe the same argument that I'm having,
right? Then,
the conflict sometimes can be difficult. But sometimes you just got to count backwards. There's that book, 5-second rule. 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you get past 1, then it's time to take action. And I think if you know that you have to do conflict, it's always good to just set the stage that I'm not trying to fight somebody.
Right.
It's like I have a valid point that needs to be put on the table, and whatever happens with the team's conversation, whatever the result is, I'm whether I'm happy with it or not. Yeah. That's the team's decision, and I'm like, all right, I'm moving on. Now that this decision's been made, that's what I'm following.
Right.
Unless it's like not a good. It's not ethically correct.
Sure.
Or along those lines.
Right. Yeah. And another thing too is just like when you have that conflict though, and it's okay, even if your decision isn't chosen or made. One, don't take it personally. I think that's what a lot of times where that happens, and again, that comes from an absence of trust. Is we tend to take it. Oh, they said my ideas suck, therefore they're saying I suck.
It kind of goes into self-awareness though.
Right.
If you don't have the self-awareness, and a lot of times when you're so passionate about something, it becomes your baby. Yeah. And there's so much, your identity gets wrapped up sometimes in your idea too, so that if it gets told no, you take the shot. Right. Like they're telling you no, or you're taking the rejection back to rejection proof.
Yeah, check out the first Thursday book thought. That'll help you out too. Yeah. But
be aware of that. Right. It's like, be aware that it's like, just because you think it's the greatest thing ever, right? There's other people that are going to see some of the holes that you don't see. And it's good to ask questions. Well, why are you saying that you don't like this?
Those people used to bother me, man. But now I've learned to appreciate those people that have a different perspective or a different outlook. Because for me, like, end of the day, we want to see the full picture. And even Scripture tells us we only see in part. So it's good when you have those other counsel in you, with you, they're speaking you out. But when you have that healthy conflict, that's when you're able to buy into commitment. And that's where, a lot of times people aren't fully committed. And that's something that I realized even for me, because in the position I'm in, they're somewhat big projects. And I remember there were some projects that I wasn't really bought into, but it was the leader at the time said, I don't want to hear nothing about this. We haven't even tried this yet. You just do it.
Those are tough.
Yeah. Praise the Lord, he's somewhere else, all right? Praise God. But he didn't want to hear nothing from us. And we were like, oh, okay, well, we'll try.
That's tough.
And it was literally like, it just sucked, like pulling teeth almost of trying to do this certain project. It wasn't until like a quarter later, 3 months later, till like, all right, well, let's hear about it. And it was like, throwing up. Yeah. But it makes you I honestly don't feel like if they would have allowed us to share our concerns at the beginning, because there's other times where we were able to do certain of these things, we may have not done it the way that the person wanted to or first envisioned it, but we were able to refine it, maybe add a little more or get more clarity with this, and we were able to go with it and, launch that thing like a beast. But because immediately it went, no conflict, no nothing, just do it. We weren't really committed. I like how Patrick Lencioni says it. We were the alligator committed. You know what I mean? Big old nose and your little arms like, you
got to submit or leave in that situation.
Yeah.
It's like either, for us, if, God's called you to a certain place, like in the ministry, like we are, everything is, our ministry is blowing. I mean, we're doing such a great job.
Come on.
The communication is just, it's evidence that from the top down things are happening. But if you're in a situation where you have a Josue, like, it's like, we have the best ideas and your leader doesn't want to hear, it's like, you have to submit to that and then just refine your talk.
Yeah.
So that when you do get your opportunity, because it'll come.
Right.
Hopefully. But you refine your talk so that like, it's like I've got this. It's bulletproof.
Yeah.
I've looked at every different angle where it could be shot down, and this is bulletproof.
Come on.
Or you bounce.
Yeah, it's true.
If you can't submit, if you get to a place, in some places where it's like, I cannot submit to this anymore.
Right.
This is either contrary, I don't match the vision anymore.
Sure.
Or something like that. But
yeah, and it's true. I mean,
you can be the dysfunction.
Yeah, it's true. It's very well true. You know what I mean?
Don't be the dysfunction.
Don't be the dysfunction. One thing I want to encourage you to is another awesome book. I think it's Three Tales of a King. If you ever have a hard time submitting under a leader that's hard to work with sometimes too, check out that book. I know it's helped me a lot. That helped me in that season of like, all right, praise God, I'm just going to serve under this person's vision, and even though I don't see it, I'm gonna do my very best. You know what I mean? And so we as a team, we were able to rally up and do it. But when those 3 months came, and I was ready, boy. We're ready to unleash.
Throw you a party.
Praise the Lord. But once you get that, that commitment, then you have peer-to-peer accountability. Now, Clay, I know you hate that word accountability.
I'm all about it, dude. I'm all about accountability.
Okay.
Yeah, I do hate it, like in the context of like, sometimes Christians get weird about accountability.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's
I know we were having a conversation a while back one time about that.
Yeah.
But no, I totally get what you mean.
Josue, I'm gonna be your accountability partner. Every 10 minutes, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? How's your life? Are you pursuing the Lord? Are you in the Word? Are you speaking, it's like, are you speaking life or death? What are you doing? I got grace tickets for you.
Ah, jeez. Yeah,
Josue was found guilty. That's not accountability.
No, that's true. So like poor, sucky accountability, not weird accountability, okay? Yeah. I totally get. Not a fan either. And I've tried those before too. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't, it's in your heart. It's going to be the Holy Spirit in you. But holding each other accountable, like in the sense of how we do, like, man, how was your morning this morning? You know what I mean? Yeah. Not constantly on you. You know what I mean?
We're achievers. We talk about what's going on.
For those who know, But, I love the accountability piece, and I've been used to with my boss accountable, but he talked about this in such a place which it made me think of football when I was in high school, where we held each other accountable, player to player, which a lot of people aren't used to doing that. I think he mentioned, not in the book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, but in his podcast, At the Table with Patrick Lencioni, he talked about that being one of the biggest ones. Yeah, that's going to be in the bio. You guys can check that out. Powerful podcast. That's one of the ones I love listening to. I get a lot out of, and Craig Rochelle's leadership podcast is awesome too. But in the peer-to-peer accountability, he said that's one of the biggest places a lot of people miss it. And it's because, it's uncomfortable. In that sense of, I got to hold some. I'm not your boss, but I'm going to hold you accountable.
This is, as a leader, and I've led teams in the past, one of the things that helps with accountability that I like, it's like setting a very clear expectation. Yeah. Like if we're in a meeting, it's like, Josue, I expect these 3 things, and they're due by this date. How can I help you achieve this goal? Yeah. And I'm gonna let you figure that out, and then we're gonna have a meeting before that date. Yeah. And the goal is for you to do your job, but I'm giving you, actionable items that you can accomplish. Yeah. And at the end of if the deadline you weren't able to accomplish them, what happened? Let's see what we can do to get those items accomplished. Yeah. That's accountability. Right. Not like, here's the items, I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Right. That's good. Why didn't you do these things? That's a terrible leader. Yeah. Asking them questions. Good leadership is like, here's the thing, giving feedback. How can I help you accomplish these goals? Because that's my job as a manager or whatever that leader's role is. Right. Unless, there might be other terms, but that's the simplest way. Here's the goal. Here's the steps that I think you should do. You might come back to me in 2 weeks and say, hey, I didn't like the way that you presented that because I had a better way. Yeah. This is what I did. I accomplished the goal. Is that cool? That worked. Yeah.
But no, I love that, man. And it's just when you have that, especially with peer to peer again, friend to friend, that's going to be something huge. And that's something that, again, I appreciate. Which for me, what I've realized, the challenge I have with this one is you can't skip the step of trust with the peer to peer accountability. And so for me, being on a different team, I'm working on building more of the trust with certain of my coworkers now to be able to do that. And for them to be able to do that for me too. But that peer-to-peer accountability without trust will just suck. And that's why it's the very first thing. It's primary foundation of everything. Last one was the results or...
Inattention to results.
Inattention to results, yes. This is one of my favorites because it reminded me of one time I was teaching in youth. And I was telling our youth group one time that... we need each other, right? That we're for each other. We're winning as a team. And so I did this game where I put a rope and everyone had to get over the rope. They couldn't go around it, under it, nothing like that. They just had to go over it. And it was probably about 5 feet up. And they have to do it, but everyone has to get across under, I think, 3 minutes. They don't get across. Everyone doesn't get across. They don't get their treat. They don't win the prize. But one of my youth, very athletic, man, dude's a beast. Very first one ran and hopped over that thing like a champion. 5 feet, man. That dude's a beast. And he was like, yeah, you guys see that? Look at that. And I was like, hey, dude, you're not getting the prize, though, because everyone has to get over. Yeah. And that's what happens when, with a lack of this, is teams, maybe I'm winning in my department personally, and I'm looking like a beast, or I'm very talented, but because everyone else is not across the line or everyone's not accomplishing the task, it doesn't matter, that I have won in my sense, or I can, look at me, because the team isn't winning. And that's a dysfunction. And that's what happens when we're lacking all these things is we begin to become silos and not actual team partners where we're working together.
What he says here in the book, inattention to result occurs when team members put their individual needs such as ego, career development, recognition, or even the needs of their division, or their divisions, their departments, above the collective goals of the team.
Yeah. One thing that I'm still munching on and I'm talking about with my team is he talked about let's say, you're head of your department, head of your group, whatever, and you have maybe your team, there's 4 of you in your team collectively, but under you have 5. And he posed the question, who's your number one team? A lot of people will say the people under them because they spend most of the time with them and they're collected with them. But he was saying, no, your number one team should be the 4 that you're with, that you're lateral with. And the reason he says that is because when you just focus on yours, again, that's how you become that silo and you create that ego and that, hey, we need to cut costs on the marketing side, and marketing team saying, heck no, we need to cut costs on this. You know what I mean? Because they're no longer trying to work together to accomplish the actual goal. They're my department, my team. And I know for a while I used to struggle with that too because we're in the ministry we're at. I'm in one of the biggest departments, and we're really looking at man, we're like the redhead stepchild, all these different things. But then stepping up more in leadership and gaining more perspective, it's oh man, we're helping each other out because we're for the whole team, not just our department.
It is.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, man? You want to kind of throw on that or share?
I just love Pat Lencioni. I really do. I could just talk for days about him, and just with this book though. It kind of just goes back to self-awareness and how you as somebody that's watching this podcast right now, it's what actions can you take today to help build a team and shift culture in a positive way? Yeah. If you're in a bad culture right now, we just pray and speak peace over you.
Come on.
And we speak that over you right now and just say that you can do your part by kind of paying attention to these 5 elements.
Yeah.
And fixing yourself.
Amen. That's good, man. One thing I'll throw at you too is just, guys, my challenge for you today is one of the biggest things, even if you kind of look at those 5 dysfunctions, you can try and guess, or maybe our team's lacking here. Most teams lack mostly in the area of trust, too. People, I think we overestimate how much we trust our team. And so one thing I'll throw at you is, admit a vulnerable spot of where you missed it big time in your team meeting and watch how that will start. Everyone will start admitting more of their miss-ups. I remember I did that after reading this book. I was like, man, that's deep. It's a huge challenge to do
Use
that.
discernment.
And yes, it's very true, very true, very true. No, it's very true. I have a good team in that sense where I was able to do that.
Your team is sharks.
Yeah.
You might want to throw like cricket out before you throw like a ham hock.
Yeah, I'm not saying, throw your deepest skeleton out there. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, man, just you start off with the vulnerability and lead that.
Yeah.
And you know what? People will start following with you now. But we pray and agree with you too, man. If you're in a dysfunction team, you know what? I pray that what we just kind of shared is encourage you, giving you some hope, giving you some actionable items to just go after and conquer. But end of the day, you guys are awesome. Really encourage you. Check out the book, Five Dysfunctions. Out of all the books that we've done so far, Clay, all right, what has been your favorite? So we did Rejection Proof, My Miracle Morning, and Five Dysfunction.
For me, with the quantity of books that I read, they merge together and become part of like how I operate in a day. So, what was that? James Clear. We got to do Atomic Habits. He said that every time you read a book, it's a software update for your brain.
Yeah, that's right.
So like every time you read, it's like you assimilate things and there's chew out the sticks.
Yeah.
Spit them out, but the meat, keep that. And with the books, the Rejection Proof was fun because it was actionable.
Right.
To be embarrassed and awkward, that was awesome. But the Miracle Morning has been like something like we talked about last time.
Yeah.
How I've really since I was sick in the past couple of episodes we recorded, but I got well and really have been dialing in my morning routine. 4:50 I wake up right now. And then from 4:50 to 5 is I drink a pint glass of water with lemon, a quarter of lemon, and then...
That's just drunk a pint, dude. Yeah. Starting your morning off strong.
I fix my coffee, and then I try to be at my desk about 5 a.m., and then I'm doing 10 chapters in the Word. I read Matthew 11 through 20 today.
Oh.
And then I'm doing Bear Grylls Soul Fuel devotional. So I'm doing like the Word that's, content. Yeah. And then in a devotional that is kind of soft.
Yeah.
And then from there, I try to spend about 5 minutes in just complete silence. And then journal. I've got two, I showed the two different journals that I'm doing. And then I try to have that done in that first hour. And it takes me about 10 minutes to get ready. And then I walk to work every day. So it's like at 6:10, I got to walk out the door, 3.5 miles almost to work in the morning. Yeah. And that's how my day starts.
I told Clay, he reminded me of, was it David Groggins? Yeah, because it snowed last night, y'all, and Clay's out here walking like a champ. I mean, you walked home in the snow, too,
I'll send you a picture and you can put it in the thing. Yeah,
yeah, I'll show it out. But, yeah, for me personally, I think, man, all of these books have been a blessing to me, too. But I think, same, man, I have to go back to My Miracle Morning, just because for me, I've sucked at waking up. With one alarm. I've been terrible at it, but now I've been feeling more like a champ because I'm conquering that thing like a beast.
It's this clarity that I keep, it's like each morning as my body has made the shift to waking up earlier. Yeah. And I would never, 4:50, that's just way early. You don't have to work I don't have to be there till 8 really, but I like to be there at 7 just to kind of start my day. But start my day so much earlier, I feel... today was supercharged day where I got in because I had so much time before I got to work. I'd planned my day mentally, kind of subconsciously. I knew kind of these are some big objectives that I wanted to get done.
Yeah.
And if you live and die through your Outlook calendar, my goal is to empty out the whole thing today. So I just had a blank inbox. Hallelujah!
Boom! That's how you do it.
But this really dialing in your day before your day begins.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your day defines you.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, too, I would just say, last thing I thought there, too, about the Miracle Morning, is actually even getting time to think and just be aware for your day. You're ready to conquer it like a beast, and it's like you just go in, all right, boom, 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 boom. And then we do cool podcasts like this, man, have a lot of fun,
Comment below if any of these things, especially if you're dialing in, you're I'm going to try it. I'm going to get up early.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to make a difference in my team by changing some of these things. Comment below because we want to hear from you.
Yeah. And, you guys are awesome, man. Seriously. Just go out there and do it, Last thing I'll throw at you, Rejection Proof, if you're having trouble with that. Again, just stepping out, just listen to the rejection proof episode. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.